Hey guys, this is RPG Maniac here, and today I'm going to talk about some things regarding Lost Ark to you who are in North American region or in Russia thinking about playing this game. Now, Lost Ark is developed by Smilegate, a South Korean video game developer and publisher. This game has also released in Russia and is the main hub for the English players in Russia since it's easier to use than its counterpart, that is the South Korean version. Now, believe me when I say it, I'd rather see a fucking rally of Donald Trump than getting frustrated over how to set it up in South Korea. Jeez, it's a mess. Anyways, I will also be posting a video soon on how to get it working in the Russian client, and we'll be talking about how to get access to a free VPN service. Now note, I do know that there are a lot of people who have posted video online how to get Lost Ark working with the Russian client, but in this one I'll be talking about how to get it completely free with a free VPN. And now with that out of the way, let's talk about whether you should invest your time in Lost Ark in 2020 or not. And to answer that question in a totally honest and a general sense, the answer would be a big fucking yes. Dude, this game is a real gem. Believe me when I say it, okay? You won't be disappointed. Now, I don't want you to close the video, start downloading, hang on just a minute, and I'll tell you about what this game successfully delivers and what it needs to work on. Now, not that I said what it needs to be working on. Not that they failed because, believe it or not, the devs are not fooling around. So far, their actions have proven to the Lost Ark community that they listen. So first, let's get started with the cons and get them out of the way because there's nearly not a lot of them, and I want to take some time talking about them first because I get taken aback by all the goodies and forgot to discuss them. Yeah, I mean with game like this, it's possible. Anything is possible. So let's get started. Con number one: it has not released in English yet. Now I know for most of you it might be like the most obvious cons but for me to put it in this video, it had a different reason. It was because sometime you get a feeling that they are intentionally and purposely ignoring the NA and EU regions. Now I might be wrong, but that's just my point of view on their last statement regarding the Western release date. If you guys remember, I think it was in January that Smilegate came out openly and talked about how they are not planning to release the game in NA or EU yet because they are busy with the Russian and Japan, and they don't have enough money. And the way they said it just made me feel like maybe they're doing it intentionally, like there was no genuinity in their statements. But anyways, that's just my point of view. Con number two: everything that you do in Lost Ark, let it be raiding or your dungeons. Now believe me when I say it, raiding and dungeons are different things. Like raiding is something that you just do with a group, and there's no mini bosses. There's just one boss. Whereas dungeons are your typical dungeons where you go enter a place and there's NPCs, mobs, and then you finally go to the main boss. Now that can also be a pro, reason being that because there's so less player on a single channel or server or whatever you want to call, the game actually less lags. Now I know most of you are familiar with it, but you remember when we play some of the games and you're doing world bosses or those world content where like 200 or 300 people and the game just fucking lags. That just never happens with Lost Ark. And I think the main reason for that might be this 4-man idea that they use. Con number 3 that I want to talk about is that Lost Ark is mildly pay to win. Now when I say mildly pay to win, there's a reason behind it. So let me just first explain what I'm trying to say. So there is an item in the cash shop which can help in the progress of your character. There's a limit to purchase it for only once a day, and you need tens of them if not more to actually have some difference between a player who's using them and who's just grinding like every other guy. But still, there is something that can give someone an edge if they are competitive. So I still, even though it doesn't bother me for some reasons that I'll be talking about later in the video, but still, I cannot deny that this game is 100% free to play and they do not have anything in the cash shop other than costumes and cosmetics. Now the next point that I want to talk about, this one I have a hate and love relationship, and there are obvious reasons to it. So this game doesn't have fast travel. Now the reason that I hate it is because sometimes you need to reach somewhere and it takes you 25 minutes to fucking go there, and I just hate that. I think there should be a system where you can, just, I don't know, maybe fast travel like 2 times a day, so you always know that you can only use that in, when you really need it. But there is nothing. And the pro to that is that you actually enjoy the game. You walk into different things rather than just skipping the area and just going. So there's this concept where there are random mobs spawning in the area, and then you kill them, which gives you a kind of a currency that you can use. Now if there was fast travel, you would never get that. You would just skip from one city to another. So there are pros and cons to that point. And the last point that I want to talk about is the one that I talked in intro to, and that is that you need to use the VPN. Now in Europe, for some it works without the VPN, but not for us here in North America. And I don't know why. I think maybe they are closed. I really don't know. So you need to pay a monthly subscription if you want to have like a playable experience in Lost Ark to those companies like ExitLag, Haste, who gives out VPN services and decrease your ping. And then you're like, wait a minute. If I'm going to pay a subscription for a game that is not even released in North America, why the hell do I not play, let's say, Final Fantasy 14th? That game has high population. They deliver excellent content. I mean, don't even get started on like how good their expansion packs have been recently. So why do you have to choose Lost Ark over all that goodies and having more population and more people of the same language and of the same area and same time zone, mind you? So yeah, there is that thing that you need to consider when you're actually getting into the game. But as I said earlier, I will be posting a video on telling you how to get a free VPN service. Now that I think will help a lot of people to play this game now more than how they were doing back. So yeah, and that's pretty much all the cons. I know, right? They're really not a lot, but I just still wanted to discuss them. Now moving on to the pros, the biggest and the obvious one is that it's free to play MMORPG, or politically correct MMORPG. I mean, you don't pay a single penny to them and you still get a game that is not pay to win, I would still say it, because there's not a cash room where they sell swords or stuff that is like just giving you the extra boost. It's just mildly pay to progress, I would say. So yeah, that's one of the biggest things. Like, anybody can play it, they don't need money to play it. And the next pro that this game actually has is great combat. Oh my god, I don't even know how much to stress this. It just feels so good. The classes that are supposed to feel heavy, like Berserk, Warlord, they actually feel heavy. You feel like you have a ton of steel in your hand, but then there are classes which are supposed to feel light, fast and quick, and you really get that feeling. And for me, and I think for all of us, that feeling is really, really important. And that's one of the main reasons that we enjoy combat in MMORPGs so much. And they kind of brought it back, and I actually love it. It's just so good. Classes feel different. It just doesn't feel like a copy pasted stuff. It's just great. And the third pro of this game is that it's wonderfully optimized. Now, let me tell you an obvious fact that you might not know, since it's my first video on YouTube. I have a shitty PC. Yeah, it's so fucking shitty that sometimes even fucking Minecraft lags. Okay? And this game runs like butter. Believe me. Seriously, I play on high settings and with some tweakings, and never lags. Never. I don't think so. I have even had a single experience in past 2 to 3 months in which my game lagged or crashed or was not working properly. So yeah, it's really, really wonderfully optimized. And the fourth pro that I want to talk about is that you can catch up to that pay to progress. Now, I know when I told you the con that it is just mildly pay to win, most of you might had this question that, okay, it's game over, you can never catch to those guys. I remember in Revelation Online, we used to call them whales, right? You could never catch up to a whale. But that's not the case in Lost Ark. It's so small, the difference is so small, that you can easily catch up and be better than them if you play this game enough. Alright? And that's something I want to stress a lot. because I don't want you guys to just don't play this game just because it's mildly pay to win, and that's not even pay to win, okay? So there's an item which lets you do daily quest one more time. That's how much pay to win it gets. Yeah, I know. It's still pay to win, so I needed to tell you guys, but it's not that much, okay? And the other thing is that it's a free to play game, okay? Maybe they are not making enough with costumes, so this might help them generate an extra revenue, because when you play this game, you realize that how optimized this game is, how well put it game this is, and that needs money, a lot of them, so maybe this might help them to keep the game, I don't know, maybe stay alive longer. So yeah, this is kind of my way to support it by, being totally fine with that mild pay to progress characteristic that it had. And I just hope they delete it, but even if they don't, I'm fine with it. And the fifth pro that it had is that it's updated regularly, okay? Now, every MMORPG has problems with it. There is no such thing as perfect. We all know that, right? But this one gets updated, they listen to you, the devs. There was so much that was wrong with it when it first came. I hope you guys know about it, but let me tell you a bit. So, sorry about that. When the game first came out in South Korea, slowly players started not playing this game because they just did not had enough time to be a hardcore player. And this other thing was that, there was not much to do for a casual player after the end game. So people started leaving because they did not have 6 to 10 hours playing this game every day. So now they're working on, getting more content to those casual players so they can enjoy in their own way. They do not need to play 6 to 10 hours. So that was one of the main things. They're introducing more content, more upcoming content. There's underwater dungeon content. There is a new fucking continent being introduced to the game, So yeah, they are working on it, they're making it more better. Because if you look at other MMORPGs, let's say Elder Scrolls Online or Final Fantasy, we all know that they had a really shitty start. Remember how bad it was when Elder Scrolls Online first came? But now it's one of the best games. Reason being that those devs listen to what people actually want and they work on it. And that's the same principle that Lost Ark is following. So that kind of gets my hopes really high up for it. And I believe that even though it is in Russia, there is a language patch, by the way, so you can play it in English. You still enjoy the game because there's just so much that it has to offer. And I feel like the population of English players have been increasing in the game, When I started playing this game, you would see an English player, like from city to city, sometimes in the dungeons or, the areas, forest, or, like where you kill the mobs. But now the English players are everywhere. Like wherever you go, you see them, and that just goes to speak less about the game and how much it has improved and attracted players to play even though it's not in their region. So yeah, this game is really wonderful. They improve themselves, and that is what the main thing. Even if this game becomes shitty tomorrow, I know that with the coming update they're gonna improve things, they're gonna make it better, and that's what matters. And one of the last thing that I want to talk about is that, as I said, like some of the players had this complaint with it that they did not have enough content for them after the end game, that is level 50, because you needed to be a hardcore player, like you maybe the best PvP, best PVE, or a grinder who's just grinding for the legendary tier gear, and they are listening to it and they are like making it for casual players. So if you're one of them who does not play, like let's say every day, hell, you play once in a week, so there's still something that it offers to you. There's always something that it offers to every genre of players. So yeah, that's one of the main things. Now there is one small thing that I want to talk about, and the reason is that I feel like in MMORPGs there are a lot of small things that make a difference, and this one is the action. So like how you're in dungeons, or let's say even killing random mobs, there are 5 mobs, 6 mobs. This game changes it. Now does it only have action combat, but it gives you like 30-40 mobs at one time. So killing them is easy, but man, the satisfaction, holy fucking America, it's just so good when you kill that many mobs. It's just fun. It gives you that smile. It brought back the smile. Even now when I'm recording this, I'm laughing to myself. Like it's that good. And the last pro that I want to talk about is that even though it's a Russian client, there is a language patch, and and there's a quite a high number of English community in the server. I believe it's called Syrian. Please correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know. But yeah, there's a lot of English players in that server. You see a lot of people walking around in the city or doing their daily quest. So yeah, there's a lot of English players in the community of the Russian client. And yeah, that's about it. Now, there is one more thing that I did not talk about yet, and I know none of the videos that I've watched on whether Lost Ark is worth playing in 2020 have ever actually talked about this, and that is the population. So you might have heard that Lost Ark does not have that much population, and I don't know like whether this is pro or con, but yes, it's not a lot. If you like compare it to other MMORPGs, I won't say there are like thousands of players, hundreds of thousands of players playing at the same time, but it's still enough. In the guild and the English server, the Syrian, there are enough English players to for you to enjoy for guild wars or I don't know, world like stuff, whatever. There are enough players for you to enjoy the game. It's not like the game is dead or empty, like how there are some worlds even with the feel that like busyness, there are maybe hundreds of NPCs and there are thousands of players. Sometimes there are worlds that just feel dead. This is not one of them. Even with less players, it just feels so alive. You feel like you're actually playing like just another person in another world. So yeah, I don't think population will be an issue for anyone. If you're stopped, if you have stopped before or now because of population issue and how no one is addressing it, I don't want you to leave the game because of that. Because if I were to give an answer in a single line, the population is enough. It's not a lot, but it's not less either. So you should be able to enjoy like all kind of activities that the game has to offer. And yeah, that is about it, guys. I hope you liked the video. Let me know about your thoughts in the comment section, because in the end, whatever I have talked about is from my own experience and my own like point of view. So if there are some things that you want to bring into this discussion, you're most welcome to. And see you in the next video.